I spent about a year homeless in Los Angeles, about half of that living in a car. I'd gone through a lot of really hard times. I made the mistake that a lot of people make, and I lifted up all those things that I knew were great in me, and I swept under the rug all the things that I didn't want to deal with, I didn't want to address. And it's all the things that I ignored because I was so busy at looking at at the handful of things that I did great that caused me so much pain in my life, that sent my marriage to the brink of divorce, that had me in a business that was just limping along, that had friendships that were lukewarm at best. I lived not a sad life, but I didn't live a hope-filled life because I wasn't honest with myself about who I was and what I needed to grow in and change. I had the ability through relationships to start my business, but I didn't have the skill set or the drive to grow it. And it was coming to Dani that changed that. But I came to First Steps, and I didn't even make it an hour in before I knew my life had changed. I've never been one that you would say, rose above and beyond. That was never me, I quit sometimes when the going got tough, or I faked it, but I'd never risen to almost any challenge. And coming to First Steps, I just knew I had to change that. And so that's what changed my marriage, because I went home and I realized that I had to invest in my wife. Couldn't ignore her. I couldn't belittle her when she wasn't exactly like I was. I had to look at my business and be honest with myself that I wasted a lot of time, that I was completely inefficient, that I really wasn't putting a lot of heart into honing my craft, that I was getting by. And that getting by was making a decent income, but it was an insult to the gift that had been given to me. My very, very first month after I plugged in, I ended up making a little over $25,000 that month, and I never dropped below 20 after that. It wasn't the money that I made that made my life better, it was the confidence I got from seeing the results of hard work. Because if you've never put in hard work and seen results, then you've never been empowered by that hard work. And so it was that empowerment. It was realizing that if I do things the right way in my life, not just in business, but in life, how I treat people, how I honor my wife, how I honor my friends, my family, etc., that I was going to see a return. And I did. In the last 5.5 years, we paid off roughly $500,000 of debt, give or take a little bit. We are completely debt-free. We own our house outright. We bought a house that is way below our means. So I bought my house with the idea that I wanted to have it paid off in 5 years. We ended up paying it off in a little under 2. At some point in your life, you're going to have to take a step forward if you think you're never going to get anywhere. And that's the mistake that I think a lot of us make, is that we sit there and we want to analyze it and make sure, is this the right decision, is this not the right decision, etc. But if you never take that step forward, you're never going to get anywhere. So if you're thinking about it, you've got to make that decision to come to First Steps. But you also, when you come to First Steps, you got to already have that decision made that no matter what, I'm also going to go to Dynasty. And I'm also going to buy materials that I can listen to at home, that I can read, that are going to help you learn and grow. So one of the greatest decisions, but also one of the hardest decisions I've made, is to continue to plug in. And now, having come to First Steps, having come to Dynasty many, many times, listening to the radio shows, listening to her call-in shows, buying materials, reading stuff. My wife's almost always got something playing in the car. I go in the car and it's some CDs on, so we're going to listen to it, right? And doing that has allowed me to continue to grow nonstop, as opposed to, you don't go lift weights once and say, that feels good. I think that was awesome. And then you never come back. You got to lift weights every day. And that's what this did for me. Dani's able to reach deep inside you and pull out things in your heart and character you have no idea are there. And it's a little bit scary sometimes when you have to start dealing with it, but it's the dealing with it that changes your life. I look nothing like I looked internally 5 years ago. And my life's better for it. I guess what I would say to everyone out there that's watching this video is that there is a better life waiting for you, that you're someone special, that you're valuable, that you have a purpose in this world, and your purpose isn't to be struggling with bills. It's not fighting with your spouse or your kids. It's not struggling every time the holidays come around and knowing you gotta go home and see your family. Your purpose is greater than that. And Dani's not a magic pill. She's not gonna fix every single thing that exists, but she will help you find that purpose. And she will unlock a life that you still can't dream of because your dreams can't go that high and they can't reach that far. And I'm proof. I'm 5.5 years in, and my life is remarkable. I have a wife that I love that I didn't love 5 years ago. I have a business that is absolutely exploding to such an extent I can't keep up. I can't hire fast enough to keep up with the business because of everything that Dani's taught me. But more than that, I have a peace, I have a fulfillment in my life because every day I wake up and I have a purpose.